We're on mute. Yeah. 3 minutes long. We're at minute 2, so we got a minute. And then the program opens 30 seconds. Mics are going to be open. Live from Studio 3 in Naperville, Illinois. Welcome to Day 2 Speakeasy Interactive Week with your host, Mr. Tim Morgan.
Welcome back. Pretty exciting this morning. The presentation from Gary on all the new technologies, not just on the structural side of the vehicles, but also the repair procedures are powerful. Everything about those vehicles, it's got me already looking for my next purchase. I think we would have to have those big 35-inch tires, I'm sure. But,
well, if you're going to get that one, then I think you got to get 2 just in case.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late.
No, I was thinking more like just in case you needed to have a shop vehicle for the IT guy to run around and to do the whole equipment.
Yeah, well, Speakeasy Americas doesn't operate that way. We don't have vehicles around that are just to haul things around in case we have to.
Guys, sorry I'm late.
As we're getting everybody set up with their audio and everything, I just want to announce that we have confirmed Rivian for Thursday at 10 a.m. I know we were yesterday a little bit skeptical about that, but we were able to nail that down. And Carl, you have one other presentation that you're able to get put together. Why don't you tell us about it?
So we have on Friday we had a to be determined, and this was a special guest that we had kept secret up until today. So we're going to announce today that we are bringing on Danny Grindenberg from DEG. He's going to be coming with us, and it's going to be a special time at noon on Friday because we know you want to get your stuff done and out the door on Friday. So we're going to bring in Danny a little bit early. He's going to be coming in at 12 noon for us and talking about non-included operations, a lot of stuff that you're going to want to hear about so that you can get paid for what you're doing in the shops. And everybody wants to get paid for what they're doing, that's for sure.
And that's a real powerful association that we have with Danny, one of the sponsors of our DPG, giving back to the industry again to make sure that we are helping facilitate proper repairs and also at the same time, Danny's doing a great job of finding all the stuff that's not included. So, are you ready to roll?
We are ready to roll. In fact, we're gonna do a mic check live on the air with the ever present, ever inspiring Mr. Louie Sharp Auto Body owner, out there in Round Lake, Illinois. Say hello, Louie, to all of our friends out in on all the social media networks, YouTube, Facebook Live, and in these Sneezy Interactive Network sessions.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Carl, Tim, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I don't hear Louie yet, so let's just.
So we'll keep talking while we get Louie's mic figured out. It was amazing. 5 minutes ago, we got a call from Louie that said, "Hey, we have a big accident up here, and I got to go out and support my guys. I'm going to be about 30 minutes late." So we thought we were going to have to turn around and work to be able to keep you entertained. And then all of a sudden, his face pops up less than 5 minutes after he told us it was going to be 30 minutes. So if you just give us a minute to be able to get his mic up and operating, we will appreciate that.
Can you hear me now, Carl?
We are not hearing Louie.
For some reason, we're not hearing Louie. You're right.
Not hearing Louie today.
I can hear you guys fine. I don't know that you can hear me. I can hear you guys.
Hey, give us a second. We will work out the technical issues.
While you're working that out, just also to let you know that at 2 p.m. Central today, we are going to be talking about blueprinting, measuring, and repairing in our technical series back out in studio number 1 with our director of technical training, Jeremy Holloway, Runyon, our sales and technical specialist, and myself. So that's going to be a pretty interesting program also to talk about what we see in the industry, what could be done to be able to help that process to make your repairs go smoother. So, check one, it's working. Get Louie online here.
You hear me now, Carl?
Hey,
There we go.
I knew it. I knew if we gave you long enough, you were going to figure out a solution because that's the type of leader you are in your shop. So thank you so much, Louie.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys. Welcome to everybody out there in TV land, wherever you may be. Tim, Carl, always a pleasure to see you guys.
Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to be able to work with you and your insights. And I know last week when we were doing some dry runs and we were talking about how we were going to be able to pull this all off with the technology and everything that we had. It's been a pretty good week so far. So, Carl, let's dig into this thing.
Absolutely here. And thanks everybody for the Q&A in the Q&A window. If you have questions for Louie, and you're going to have questions for Louie, make sure you use the Q&A box to chat with us so we can get them answered. I appreciate everybody raising their hand going, "Hey, we can hear Louie. We can hear Louie." So it's a good thing. So let's start off with Louie. You were in Minneapolis at a Fender Bender conference, and you were the keynote speaker. And I had the pleasure to attend. Tim was installing a multi-bench somewhere in the middle of New Jersey, I think at the time. But I got the chance to attend and listen to your speech on leadership. So if you could do me a favor and talk to me a little bit about, well, let's talk about your shop first, and then let's dig into your leadership style.
Sure. So I've got a shop in Island Lake, Illinois. Been here it was 40 years in May, and we do about 1.2 a year in a town of 8,000 people. We have no DRPs, and we have I've lost track of the OE certifications we have, but I think we're around 9 or 10.
Well, that's quite an you said, and let me get this right, 1.2 in a town of 8,000.
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we didn't start at 1.2, I'm guessing. How did we,
No, we didn't.
How did we get there?
EBM, always be marketing. You know, I'm always out. I network. I volunteer in the community. I've written a book called Car Sense. I'm always out doing something, staying in front of people and the public in general.
Well, and I remember watching you at the event, and you were walking around, you were shaking everybody's hand, and I've seen you in your shop, been in your shop with you in a number of cases, and you are like, I don't want to say social butterfly, but you are shaking hands, kissing babies, and you do some unique things in your shop when it comes to leading by example. So, what would you say is how do you approach your leadership style?
Fun. I think that if you're not having fun, it's not worth the effort. And I think that, I was blessed. My father used to say all the time he'd never met a stranger. And that's pretty much how I've lived my life. So whether it's a client, I treat everybody, whether it's the guy delivering us parts, whether it's an adjuster, whether it's my employees, clients, I treat them all the same. And I'm genuinely interested in them, and I care about what they have to say.
Well, that makes that opens the door to listening, active listening. And that's a skill set that you worked on, I'm guessing, because it's not born in us. We love to talk.
Yeah, and I'm in that. Excuse me, I'm in that category. I love to talk, but yes, Carl, I continue to work on my listening, and there's some techniques that I share with people. One of them is when somebody's speaking and they stop talking, you take a breath, because you'll be amazed at how often they're just taking a breath and they're going to continue to talk as well. The other thing is I call it attentive listening. So actually physically focus on the person and lean in towards them, whether you're sitting at a table or you're standing up across from them. Physically lean in and make them the entire focus of everything that's going on, regardless of, like you were saying at the conference, regardless of other people around you. Turn your entire focus on them. And then often it's really powerful to repeat back to them what they said, so that you make sure that you got it exactly the same.
That brings up a pretty good point when you start to look at having to deal with your clients on a daily basis. Obviously, when they come to you, it is not a pleasant situation on their end. And I can tell you from my experience of being in your shop, Louie, you're always running around like an Energizer bunny, going from technician to office staff, asking, what do you need? How can I help? Where are we at with this situation? Where are we at with that situation? And as I said in the intro when we were coming in, 5 minutes before we're going live, you're like, hey, I'm going to be a little late. I got to go help my staff because we got a real bad accident up here. And that's what I see as a key motivator to get you to that 1.2 million, is that you're constantly moving. The wheels are always going.
Well, thanks for noticing, Tim, and I appreciate your kind words. And I think that's very true. You can't ever rest on your laurels, and we have to constantly be going towards the better. And I think that if you take an interest in people and ask that question, what can you do to help? One of the things we've talked about in the past, I like to share with all your listeners. I remember being at a 20 group meeting with 3M up in Minnesota, and the guy leading the meeting went around the table and asked everybody, what do you do for a living? And they were all body shop owners. So, the first guy said, we fix wrecked cars. The next guy said, we fix wrecked cars. Next guy said, we fix wrecked cars and detailing. Everybody was fixing wrecked cars. It got all the way around to me. Said, what do you do? I said, I help people who've been traumatized by an accident get through the process as quickly as easily as possible. And that's what I'm in the business in. We all need to realize we're in the people business. Anybody can fix a car, but we're in the people business.
So what is it that you do in your facility to fix people? Okay. And what is your approach to when somebody comes in and says, I've got it, I'm in an accident? How do you walk them through that process? What's the main thing that you want them to take away when they're done talking with you?
That we're there to solve what their pain is. So often they don't know until they get there what their pain is. But I ask that question, What's most important to you? What are you most concerned about? Well, I'm concerned that my car's fixed right, or I'm concerned about how much I'm going to have to pay. But I ask really good questions. I think I read this from, I think it was Brian Tracy. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask. So when a client comes in, we ask really good questions to find out what they want. So often people will come in and they're scared to file a claim. So they may be more concerned about price than quality. So then I'll give them a couple of different options for price where they've got different ways to go. But at that point, they really feel like they've been heard and that we're responding to what is most important to them.
And how has that worked for your repeat customers?
Carl, I'm on third generations in some families. I started on grandpa's cars, and then grandpa and grandma had kids, and then their kids had kids. And so I'm on third generation. So I can tell you, and to your point, you don't do 1.2 million in a town of 8,000 people without a bunch of repeat clients.
No, that's exactly correct. And as you said, 40 years in business, pretty amazing numbers with that small amount of population and the amount of vehicles that are going by your facility. So it's obvious that your marketing and your handshaking and being out there in doing some civic duties and things like that. That's where the nucleus is, if you want to call it, of how to be able to get people to come to you. So let's take a look at some things that you do in your facility, maybe to engage your employees. And to that end, how do you lower the rate of employee turnover?
So one of our secrets is onboarding, the way we onboard. So we just recently brought on a new body tech, and the day he started, everybody in the company greeted him and welcomed him like he was a long lost friend. When he came in through the interviewing process, I know him and his wife have some financial goals. So the day he started, he had moved his toolbox in on a Saturday. The day he started, he came in and found a gift wrapped present and a card on his toolbox. And in that gift was a book on how to be financially savvy to get to retirement, which is what him and his wife are working on. Their kids are raised. And there was a nice card welcoming to Sharp Auto Body. I guarantee he's never started at a body shop and got the welcome he got the first day at Sharp Auto Body. The other thing I've done, and I do this with all my employees, is I check in with them and I say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are things going at Sharp Auto Body? And if it's not a 10, then I check my ego at the door. And so if I just recently got an 8, the same tech, I recently got an 8. And I said, well, what would it take to make it a 10? Check my ego at the door. I'm looking for feedback. He said, well, your blueprinting process is a little laborsome. If we did this, it would be easier. I thought, holy cow, nobody's ever given me that feedback before. He gave me that feedback. We've changed our blueprinting process, and we're probably saving an hour per job on blueprinting just because of what he gave me. And so I'm constantly asking, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are we doing? On a scale of 1 to 10, how am I doing as your boss, your leader, the guy in charge? And then if it's not a 10, I shut up and listen, because they're about to tell me exactly what it's going to take to make it a 10. People that are 10s don't leave a job.
Very true. Very true. And we start to look at today it being more hard to attract people to our industry and work forward on trying to build that team, because the last time I checked, and this is something I say all the time, there's no I in team. You have to work together to be able to get your processes together and get things together to be able to work together. And I applaud you for that, to be able to walk up to somebody and you're basically asking them, what are we doing wrong here that we can do better? And it's constant improvement.
And it makes it a safe environment, right, Tim? When they know that they can say, hey, things are a 5, you really suck, and not get yelled at or me not blow my lid. And I want to reiterate for everybody that's listening or may listen in the future, you just hit something that's very, very powerful. I think people don't understand, one, everybody that's ever done anything great has done it with a team. And two, especially in any business, as an owner, you have a big team that stretches well beyond the four walls you call your brick and mortar. You guys are a great example. I love you guys. I consider you part of my team. My vendors are part of my team. My referral partners, my fleet accounts, everybody's a part of my team. And when you build those relationships and take care of people, now you really strengthen that team, Tim. And you're absolutely right. Once you have that team, and that includes your accountant, your bookkeeper, your business attorney, all these other people, these ancillary businesses that are supporting your business. That's why I'm so nice to the drivers. I can tell you, it's not uncommon. If I need a part and I need it in a hurry, I call my vendors. They're happy to give it to me because I've treated them with respect and kindness, and I don't ever vent on them because they're part of the team too, even though they're not in the four walls.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why here we don't call our customers per se customers. It's all part of the Spinisi family. Like, you joined our Spinisi family about 5 years ago. I actually came in the evening and did an installation in your place. Carl even joined me on that one. So we understand. I think also a lot of times as business owners, business managers, that our heads are racing so fast trying to look at what's coming at us next, that we do have to stop and ask for help along the way to be able to facilitate everything we do. But it is always great to find within an employee what you can do to be able to, help that employee or him or her help you with how you said that one of your techs came up and says, we need to change this process.
Right. And I think that you've touched on a couple of things. At Sharp Auto Body, we don't have customers either. We have clients, right? We've all seen the pictures of customers at Walmart. No, I don't know that any of us want to be working with that clientele, but I think, words are really important. I also think that the ability to use your network. I love to share the story about my detailer who's now in my apprentice program started, and my manager was having some issues with him. And the three of us were having a conversation, and she was going right after, do you need more training? Do you need more training? Really good young man, hardworking. And I said, hang on, slow down. I said, hey, Mike, is there anything bothering you that, you're not your normal self? And then he said, once he had the space to talk, yeah, I'm really concerned. My mom's got to move out of her house and she's got no place to go, and I don't know what to do. I immediately got on the phone with a realtor friend of mine, a real estate agent, and by the end of the weekend, we had her in a house. And so I can tell you that you talk about that team, you talk about your network and everybody working together. When you invest that kind of stuff into your employees, they'll love you for a long time. But again, you got to ask the question, you got to listen, and then you got to use your resources.
Well, in 40 years up in your market area too, you obviously have grown a lot of resources as we all do in business, and it's pretty exciting to be able to help someone out. I know we had some vehicle troubles with one of our employees here, and I was like, stop taking that car to that mechanic. Bring that car over here and let our own people look at it, please.
Right. Yeah.
So I get that point. And, and the car is, a valuable resource for that employee to be able to get their groceries, get everything, and including get to work.
Very true.
So then if we look, you talk about your mission and which is to fix people. What do you mean by that statement?
So, it's a funny thing, but when somebody's been in an accident, most of the time, they have no idea what's about to happen. They don't know how anything works, and they're scared. They're literally scared. They're scared that the insurance company might drop them. They're scared their rates are going to go up. They're scared that their car might not be the same after the accident. They've got all this fear wrapped around this. And so it's our job whether, and again, like I said, we're all in the people business, whether we're like you guys are doing, you build this great equipment and sell it to body shops, or whether we're fixing cars, or if I was making pencils or widgets or whatever it may be, we're really, at the end of the day, we're all in the people business. And it's amazing to me because, especially the way the insurance companies treat, some of the big carriers treat body shops and even their insureds, they've lost sight of the fact that it's all about the client. That's who you should be taking care of.
It's funny you say that, because I have an insurance claim right now, not on a vehicle, but on a freight claim. And I was so frustrated last night. If I could read the email, it was not very pretty, reminding them that they're in the risk business. I'm not. And I'm the person with the invoice that had to repair the equipment to save them from moving the equipment back here to Chicago from Calgary. And we took care of the customer right away when the insurance company thought I could have waited for a discount flight. And I said, if that's the way you want to run your business, that's your idea. We here feel that we need to exceed the need of the customer.
That's exactly, yeah, and that's exactly right. And I think that, it's a funny thing because, now they're having all these discounts on bundling. And it's getting really dicey because it's a crazy concept, right? Why would you buy the cheapest insurance to insure the two most expensive things you buy, your house and your car? But people are doing it every day. And then they get the short end of the stick because they went to Geico or Progressive or State Farm or American Family or Allstate. And they're all, and here's what's great. So I'm going to use you guys as an example. Here's what's great. Why I'm still in business and why you guys are still in business, and not only in business, but thriving, because we deliver quality, whether that's how we care for people, our products, our service, it's all quality. The insurance companies have lost sight of that. And I think, it's an interesting conversation. I don't know how much time we have, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on you.
We got plenty.
Okay. So it's an interesting conversation right now because on the, for those that don't know, I sit on the Fender Bender board. And so we're just regular body shop owners. And every month we review the magazine, we read the articles, and then give the people that attend missions feedback on the articles and those kinds of things. And it's amazing to me how, so State Farm, there was a body shop owner in Texas that's not on a DRP. And like I said earlier, I have no DRPs. And State Farm took 3 weeks to get his estimate turned around. And he sent them a $17,000 estimate, and they sent back, after 3 weeks, $7,000. Now, riddle me this, Batman and Robin. You guys can decide who's who.
Carl wears the cape.
If let's just assume for a minute that State Farm gets their wish and drives all their claims to a DRP shop, and the independents are no longer out there fixing any of their cars. What do you think they're going to do to those DRP shops? And not just State Farm, Progressive, Geico, Allstate, all of these companies that are doing this steering, and we all know steering is illegal. But if they got away from people going where they wanted and could steer all that work to a shop, you think they wouldn't tighten the screws on that shop? The lower quality, the lower price? Of course they would.
Well, and of course they would, because they're in business to make money as well. I mean, and without getting into specific insurers and DRP programs, it can be regional based, it can be across the country. It just depends on where they go. But the bottom line is, as a business decision, obviously these shops are making these decisions, and what's really worked for you is the ability to not be beholden to a single or a handful of companies in order to make your customers happy. And I think that's what makes me proud of the accomplishments that you've done.
Well, thank you, Carl. I appreciate that. But I think that's one of those things, like I said before, ABM, you always have to be marketing. You always have to be out there doing something. And that's, to what Tim was saying earlier, that's how I built my network. I'm out networking. So I know roofers, I know plumbers, I know real estate agents, mortgage people, the list of people goes on and on.
Well, and that's the other thing, because if you look at your actual, say a 10-mile radius from your facility, you got a lot of water around you. You don't have a lot of roads. So you're having to physically draw them into your neighborhood, basically. And that's when you look at your business relationship with your customers and your vendors, from your client side. When you look at that, they're driving straight to you, and they could be passing, XYZ or XY, or ABC auto body on the way by, but they're heading straight to you. So that brings me into the next thing we wanted to talk about with, how's that really affect your business beyond the marketing part? Are you finding that the ABCs and the XYZs are taking things, taking some business away because of, the factor of that you're not a DRP? Or do you really have more business? Obviously, you're up to 1.2 million, but I'll let you finish the story there. You obviously are still drawing in from the same insurance companies, correct?
Oh, without a doubt. I was a DRP for State Farm. I was actually on the pilot program probably 25, 30 years ago when they started the Service First thing with those old big heavy video cameras. Remember those rocks? And but when it went to Select Service, I opted out of it because I could see where they were going. And one of the things I think that's really powerful is I've been doing some business consulting for probably the last 3 or 4 years for sure. And one of the things I share with people is the power of unique selling proposition. And so if you can separate yourself from the herd, and I use the example of Domino's Pizza, right? When Domino's Pizza came up with a unique selling proposition, they drove right to the top of the market in a nation filled with pizza joints all over the place. Remember what their unique selling proposition was? 30 minutes or less. Now, they went to the market and they asked, what's your pain? Their pain was it was taking too long to get a pizza. The point I make is, was it the best pizza? Nope. Was it gourmet pizza? Nope. Was it healthy pizza? No. It was some crap on bread, but it got there in less than 30 minutes. It was. Domino's Pizza isn't the best. We're from Chicago. We all know good pizza, and Domino's isn't it. And so, but they went right to the top of the flipping market because they had a unique selling proposition. And so what I've been doing most of my career is I go ask my clients, if we could do something different, what can we do to help you? And I can tell you, I've had free loaner cars at this point for probably 30 years. And I was probably led that charge. I was on free pickup and delivery and free on-site estimates 5 years ago. And so when COVID hit, it just played right in my hand, Tim, because when nobody wanted to leave their house, I was already set up to go to their house. And I've had clients, if they walk through my door right now, I wouldn't know them and I wouldn't recognize them. Some of them, we fixed their car 2 or 3 times. They wouldn't recognize me and they don't know me because we got retired guys. They go pick up the car, drop off our loaner, bring back their car. We fix their car, take it back and swap at the other end. But that's about the client. Nobody cares about how big my frame machine is. Nobody cares I got a downdraft spray booth. They care about what's in it for them. Most people don't have a third or second or fourth or fifth car when one car goes down. Most people are too busy anymore to even go get an estimate, for crying out loud. And so when you start solving their problems, taking away their pain, and this is another thing I do all the time, I ask my clients, what are we doing that we should stop? What are we doing that we need to do more of? What are we not doing that we need to start? They're going to give me the answers. It's that same thing on a scale of 1 to 10. Go home and ask your wife, honey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how you doing? My wife once told me I was a 7. I said, what's up with that? She said, well, we got some promises and you voided them. You promised you're going to take out the garbage. You promised you're going to help with the laundry. You promised you're going to load and unload the dishwasher. I said, okay, thanks, sweetie, for the feedback. Same thing with my clients. My clients give me feedback and it's not a 10. I go change whatever they said. I started taking out the garbage, loaded and unloaded the dishwasher, helped with the laundry. A couple weeks later, I check in with the wife. Hey, sweetie, how am I doing? On a scale of 1 to 10. She said, you're a 10. Now, if one of you guys was to call me up, or both you guys called me up and said, hey, Louie, I know it's short notice, but we got an extra ticket to the Blackhawks game tonight. Can you go? If I'm a 10 with my wife, I'm going with you all night long and having a great time and not taking any grief when I get back. If I'm a 7, I'm getting what one of my buddies calls hot tongue and cold shoulder for dinner.
That's a funny analogy. This morning, taking out the trash this morning, I got one bin and the wife took the other before I could come back and get it. So I feel your pain on that one. So,
Yeah.
I don't dare ask my wife on the scale of 1 to 10. I can't. Just saying.
Yeah, some of the things that you listed there, Louie. Yikes! I hope my wife's not watching. But hey, when we look at the next 18 to 36 months, what do you see economically and other related items that could or are going to affect your business?
I think there's 3 things that I'm watching out for and aware of. The first one is the immediate threat we have with parts, right? We're trying to manage vehicles, but again, you don't know what you need until you disassemble it. But until this shipping supply crisis is over, that's an immediate issue with a lot of people, and not just our industry. I think the next thing is, I'm excited for the industry. You know, it's getting easier to make more money. And one of the reasons why is, you know, and everybody talks about, oh, accidents are going to go down. They got all this ADAS. Well, I can tell you, everybody I talk to right now is 2, 3, 4 weeks behind. They've got a backlog. But the other piece of this is what I think what's really critical, and I'm sure you guys see this as well. I can tell you our average RO is jumped probably $2,000. And so we don't have to turn as many cars to make money. And that's so many steps that are saved. We don't have to start a file. We don't have to schedule the client. We don't have to schedule a loaner car. We don't have to map another vehicle and do 100% disassembly. Right on down. We don't have another parts order. Yet we're bringing in and turning more dollars than we ever have before. And now one of the things you were talking about, Tim, is you guys are going to have a speaker who's going to talk about non-included items. Well, I can tell you, one of the reasons why we're driving our average RO up is because we're putting everything we're putting on the car and everything we need to do to the car on that estimate. We don't always get paid for it, but as an average, our average RO is going up because sometimes we get paid for it. Sometimes, most of the time, it just depends on the carrier, but our average RO is going up, and that's across the country. And I think that's one of the reasons why the insurers are trying to put the screws to things, because they really want to try and control the cost. But at this point, there's no way. You know, we did a Toyota and the grill emblem, $900. The other thing I think is going to be really interesting, I said 3 things. 1 is the parts. 2 is I'm excited because I think there's great opportunity. And 3 is I think the next 18 or 24 months are very critical. And us as shop owners and leaders, Carl, you started this conversation with leadership. Us as shop owners and leaders in the industry have the ability to have an impact. And I think in the next 18 to 24 months, it's going to be a power play to see who ends up with control over the collision repair process, whether that's the OEs or whether that's the insurance carriers. And I think the more that we can educate everybody, like things like this, but also the general population about what's going on with collision repair and how high tech these vehicles are and what's involved. You know, you guys are a great example of that. I boast. Now, here's a great example of I've had people into my shop and I've shown off my one touch, right? And I say, look, this is how accurate we are. We're down to the millimeter, and we can pick any point in the car, and we can test that point against other points on the car. And so that's a unique selling proposition for the gearhead that wants to know his car is going to be fixed right. But I think that at the end of the day, and I'm confident, I think the OEs are going to win the day. And I think in 18 to 24 months, they're going to really be dictating how cars are repaired. And the insurance company is either going to have to go along with it, or somebody else is going to be selling insurance.
Well, and it's interesting you say that, because I know it wasn't, we had talked about it off camera when we were testing last week, when you start to see that OnStar is going to have an insurance division. So that means that General Motors is getting into the insurance business. Tesla is getting into the insurance business, where they're going to insure the vehicles for their clients. And I believe that factor is so that they can dictate the repair and make sure that the repair is done correctly, because they're afraid that there's some shortfalls on the other side. What do you think of that?
I think you're absolutely spot on, Tim. And I can tell you, I've seen data, and I first saw this data from Mike Anderson. It's an interesting statistic, but 60% of the time when somebody has an accident, they change makes. So if you're driving a Chevy and you get into an accident, 60% of the time you get out of it a GM product, and you go to Toyota or Honda or Chrysler. And so the OEs are very, very well aware of that. And I think that technology, it's going to be really powerful, because OnStar is going to come out and say, so I was just, and again, thank you guys for your patience. It's a really bad accident just now. And I mean, it was a mess. Cars everywhere, parts, pieces everywhere. There was a truck, a trailer, a van, another car. It was just all over. But my point to this is at the end of the day, the OE is going to be able to call you up and say, hey, Tim, we understand you just had an accident. Are you okay? Do you need an ambulance? You're going to say, no, I'm pretty good. I'm okay. Well, Tim, your radiator's leaking and the headlight's broken. Your vehicle's not safe to drive. There are 3 OE certified GM dealers within 5 miles of you. Do you have a choice of body shop? Yeah, I really like Sharp Auto Body. Great. We've got a tow truck on the way. They're going to tow it to Sharp Auto Body, and we've already got an order put in for your radiator and your headlight, and it's on the way to the shop. That's where this thing's going. And now you're going to think, holy cow, man, does GM take care of me? I'm never leaving GM. And you won't.
And that is the scenario that we've been looking at also too. When you start to see, is you want to be able to control that customer, that client, to always be there for them. I can't remember the last time that I bought a vehicle that I didn't buy the maintenance contract with it, and they're calling me, telling me, before I even look down to know I need an oil change, they're already calling, wanting to make the appointment. And that's all part of the, keep connected to the customer. And I do notice on your social media pages how that, you go up and you talk about these issues of proper repairs and those types of things. And one of the other things that we know for a fact that you do also is you have an outside business activity besides the body shop. So what do you do with that part? And then how do you find time to have any spare time just to relax?
So those are all great questions. So I've been speaking professionally for probably 14 years at this point. And like I said a couple minutes ago, I've been doing some business consulting for the last 3 or 4 years. And I do that because I read every day. I tell people, if you want to change your life, read every day. And so I'm constantly learning about all kinds of stuff: health and fitness, spirituality, sales, marketing, leadership, you name it, I'm reading something about it. And then the other thing is you just got to learn to manage yourself. Right now I'm teaching my employees time management, and it's taken us about 3 weeks. And the first thing I told them is there's no such thing as time management. Everybody gets the same 24 hours in a day. The only thing there is self-management. And so I don't watch TV, Tim. I don't sit at home at night and watch TV. I'm in the middle of writing my second book. I play in a couple of bands. I volunteer and help high school kids. I do things like this. I spoke at the Fender Bender conference. I speak around the country. I'm running a body shop. I run my speaking business, but it's because I focus my time on things that matter to me. And then it's really easy to be passionate about it. You guys are the same way. We all are passionate about what we love and the people that we're helping. And so I just don't waste a lot of time sitting around doing nothing, especially watching TV. That's the other thing I tell people. You want to start living the life of your dreams? Turn off your TV. What are you doing when you watch TV? You're watching somebody else live the life of their dreams, whether they're a professional athlete or an actor or a movie star. They're living the life of their dreams, and you're sitting on your couch watching them live the life of their dreams, wondering why your life sucks. Turn off your TV and get off your couch.
Yeah, I'm not a big TV watcher either, to be honest. And today, no matter what channel you turn on, it's and I'll say it, I may be saying it wrong, but it's just a bunch of crap sometimes. And when you could work to be able to help your neighborhood, help your village, help your city, we have a passion at our household for rescue dogs. So yeah, I do believe that giving back to the industry, and working to be able to bring people forward in our industry, whether it's an employee that you have now or the next one that you're trying to groom to bring in as you expand and grow. So yeah, all good information there about getting off the couch.
Well, I just have one thing to say about watching TV. Now, I love TV, and I'll be honest with you, but if you're gonna only watch a little TV, watch Spinese Interactive TV. That's what I'm talking about right there. So
there you go.
Shameless plug. Gotta do that one.
There you go.
So we got about 10 minutes left. So why don't we open it up to see if there's any questions? You want to put some questions in the chat, and then we'll fire them off to Louie and see if we can get some answers. Louie, again, I got to thank you for. I had us a little nervous there in the beginning, needing 30 minutes, but you recovered quite quickly. Even though I know we could come up with something to talk about, but and I have to say that coming into your business, from the time you walk through the door till you walk through the shop, it's got to be one of the most friendliest atmospheres that I've run into. It's like when you go there, you feel like you're at home.
Well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say, and that's really what we strive for.
Well, Louie, we have a question here for you. So the question centers around what in a town of 8,000 people, they want to know what kind of stuff are you doing as far as you have your customer friendly atmosphere, and you're always being marketing, but they kind of want to understand what that means in a town of 8,000 to do 8.1 million. I'm sorry, 1.2 million. I get my numbers messed up.
That's all right. Yeah. So that's a great question. One of the things I do is I'm constantly busy on social media. I put out posts. I'm a rock and roll guy, and I love to play guitar. So I found a rock and roll calendar. So sometimes I'll post this day in rock and roll history, John Lennon married Yoko Ono or something like that. So I'm constantly on social media. To what Tim touched on earlier, I don't sell anything on social media. I'm adding value on social media. So I'll tell them, why they should wax a car even though it's got clear coat, or I'll tell them why they should put a fine thin coat of Vaseline on a weather strip in the winter on their door so the door doesn't freeze shut. I do those kinds of things. And so I'm constantly out there. The other thing is that I've been consistently showing up in the same places. So like I said, at the high school, I've been talking to driver's ed classes for the last easily 25 years. And so, but I'm constantly there. And so there's generations of high school kids, and I have people come in and say, yeah, I remember you came and talked to my driver's ed class. And it was like 10 years ago. And so it's those kinds of things. It's anything that you want to accomplish in life, just do it consistently, right? Whether that's, so here's a great example, like the TV. You want to start watching less TV, just cut out 10 minutes. Don't cut out all your TV, just cut out 10 minutes. And then do something positive with that 10 minutes. And in a year, you're going to have added all this time. But consistently market and consistently be out there all the time. It doesn't have to be huge things, but I do email blasts to my client list. I volunteer at the high school. I do speaking events. I've talked to the senior citizens on, what to do at the scene of an accident, all kinds of things. I've partnered with insurance agents to go into the driver's ed classes, to go into some of these other places and hold these seminars or these talks on how to help people in what to do when they've been in an accident, or how to buy insurance, how to does deductible work, all those kinds of things. And we've all got a ton of information. We just need to find a channel, a medium to get it out there to the public.
So you say you go in, and I want to follow up on a small part of your statement right there, Louie. A lot of great stuff. But when you say you talk to the high school students in driver's ed, are we getting to those kids early enough? And from a collision industry recruitment standpoint, is high school the time, or do you think we need to get in front of those folks earlier and show them what an outstanding career that they can have in our industry?
Great question, Carl. That actually came up on our Fender Bender conference call about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, probably now. And actually, Jesse up at Hetman's up in Minnesota, they've done some research, and the grade is 8. In the 8th grade, we should be hitting kids up, because once they hit into high school, and I've been mentoring kids at the high school for probably 15 years, by the time they get to high school, they're already starting to brainwash them and funnel them into the college. That's their only option. They're telling them, you want to succeed in life, you need to get a 4-year degree.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because we have another roundtable we're doing later in the week about how to be able to attract zillennials. That's a new word for me, but that came up when we were doing some some pre-work for that seminar, and I was like, what did you just say? And they said zillennials, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. We got another group of young people coming up that are going to have a different set of traits than the millennials have. I know for a fact, talking with some of my friends, that they're like, oh, my daughter doesn't want to get her license. And I remember the day that I turned 16 and was allowed to go to the DMV to be able to get a temporary license. It was like, wow. And now, kids have different values of, what's important to them. And for the most part, a lot of that comes from this thing right here, which is not always good also.
I would agree with that, Tim.
So we have to look today. I think you're exactly right, Carl, and Louie. I think we need to start sooner than high school, because their minds are already made up when they start going into high school, and I've seen that through my own daughters. That's where it's at. That's how you're going to get them interested in different things. My youngest, she's now turning 15. She's already picked what she wants to do, but she is looking for car projects for home right now. She wants to build this Barbie car on steroids that she could race up and down the streets. So it's a different time that we're in, and I can just imagine, how do we attract people in the future? It's going to be a bigger problem than it already is.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, we are right at we got about 4 minutes left in our hour session, and I know Louie's got a mess to clean up down the street. We're probably in his shop right now.
We moved that mess in record time. It's a big pile here now.
I'm telling you, when I got the phone call 10 minutes before, and he said, "I'm gonna need a half an hour," one of us panicked.
You were a little nervous.
Well, it's funny.
I used to own a towing company, so I know that operation myself. But you were a little nervous, Carl.
I can tell you, I was a little nervous, because
it's
half an hour in my time is 3 hours. So
it's funny, because when I called you, Carl, you thought at first I was just screwing with you and pulling your leg, and I was serious. I was on a scene.
It's not the first time you've messed with me like that. I'm just saying. A quick story on Louie here. I helped Louie participate. Now he did the Fender Bender conference. He was a keynote speaker, but I was given one line in his keynote. And Louie said, okay, here's the slides, and I need you to say this. And I sat down at the table that I was sitting with in the back of the room, of course, because you want the maximum effect. It's got to be the loudest from the back of the room. So I sit there and I look over at the guy and I say, I'm only gonna yell out once. And the guy looked at me like, yeah, whatever. So Louie gets to the slide. I scream my line, and my line is, "You suck." To the entire Fender Bender conference, 200 attendees, and 400 eyes came back to me, and Louie's just standing there in complete silence. And he never did tell me what he was going to say after I said that. He left that part out. So here I am, 400 eyes plus Louie looking at me, and I say, and I just look over at the guy, and all I could say was, "I told you I was only going to yell out once."
Why am I just hearing about this? No wonder why I wasn't at the conference.
So Louie finally says something, and just before security came and started hauling me out of there. So thank you, Louie, for that.
Well, thank you for being such a brave participant. And you know, you're and I going to have that to laugh about till the day we die, because I had no idea the whole crowd was going to turn on you like that.
For the entire week, everybody was walking up to me and going, "You were the guy that screamed, 'You suck.'" But I love Louie. You don't understand. I love Louie.
Oh, that's funny.
So we are out of time at this point. If you have any questions for Louie Sharp, send them over to Tim Morgan's email address, tmorgan@spinisi-americas.com. And I want to thank our special guest today, Mr. Louie Sharp. Put your hands together for Louie Sharp. Great leadership style. If you get a chance, go to his Facebook page, and you might even get a copy of his Car Sense book that he released. How long ago was that? You put your book out, Louie?
Probably 4 or 5 years ago now.
Awesome. Great book, Car Sense. And he also does speaking, and also he does, what don't you do, Louie? Guitars, just about everything under the sun. So, business consulting. I was missing a big thing. So anyway, I want to thank Louie Sharp for your time today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks for having me, guys. Love you and have a great day.
Okay,
Thank
have
you.
a great day.
All right. So coming up later this week, we have,
Let's get through today first.
yeah, well, today,
2 p.m. Central, we
2
have
p.m.
blueprinting, measuring, and repairing out in the studios. I can't even keep track of them anymore, 3 studios, but out in Studio 1. So we have, we're going to be talking about blueprinting, measuring, repairing with our technical training director, Jeremy Holloway, and Brett Runyon, our sales and technical specialist. They're already setting up out in the shop area for everything that needs to be done. So have a great afternoon. And you want to roll us out of here, Carl?
give me just a second. Let me roll us out of here. That's right.